Hi guys, this is Sajid again, and today I'm back with another video about Java. So guys, today what we're gonna study is Java scope. You have studied Java variables in my previous videos, so we will talk about something about these variables. I mean, the scope is related to these variables. So in Java, variables are only accessible inside the region they are created. This is called scope. So remember this definition. This is very important. I mean, in Java, variables are only accessible inside the region they are created. For example, okay, what is method scope? Right. Variables declared directly inside the method are available anywhere in the method following the line of code in which they are declared. See here we have in this example one method called main method, and I have declared one variable integer x. Now before declaring integer x, code here cannot use x because x doesn't exist before this line. Then after the x is defined, here we can use this x and we are printing it. So let's look at the example. For example, I have 89 where in the value of the variable, and I'm gonna print it. It's there. I can use this variable, but for a second, if I put this print line here before the x is defined, what will happen? Oh yes, you can see there is error, cannot find the symbol x, because this character x here is just a symbol for this compiler when it's compiling or producing bytecode. It is not identifying it. It doesn't know what is x because x has actually been defined after this line, and this one is out of scope of this print line statement. X is accessible only when x has been defined before. So if I take it back here and I run the code again, what's happening? The compiler will not give error and my program will be executed 89. So now you understand, in Java, whenever in one method, when we are defining one variable, we can access it only it has been created or defined. We cannot access it before it's defined. So scope of variable is after line of code in which they are declared. Okay, now we have understood the concept of scope and scope of variable inside the method. Now let's look at another concept called block scope. A block of code refers to all code between curly braces. So for example, I have two curly braces in the code, so in the program. So all the code I write between the curly braces, that is called a block. So variables declared inside blocks of code are only accessible by the code between the curly braces, which follows the line in which the variable was declared. So what does it mean? It's similar to scope of variable in method, but here we are limiting it within curly braces. So something, if we define a variable, look at this example here. We have defined one integer in this main method, but we have used two curly braces inside this method, this curly brace and this curly brace, these two are forming one, you can say, block of code, and inside and outside this block of code, X is not accessible. Further, when we reach inside this block of code, still we cannot access X before X is defined. This we have seen before in our previous example as well. So int X is equal to 100. Now system.out.println, I'm going to print this line here, and this is accessible within this block of code. Now there is some region outside this block of code here. Again, here I cannot access the X, the variable X, because that is outside the code, the block now. So let's look at this example in detail. Okay, students and my dear friends, what's gonna happen? I have one main method, and here I have defined a block of code. In this block of code, I have an integer, and its value can be, for example, 90, and I am printing it within this block of code, and result is 90. So let's look here. It's under compilation and execution. So once it's compiled and executed, we can see the answer is 90. So my block ends here. Now after this block, still there is some region here, code here cannot access X. So let's try if it is true or not. Okay, I am trying to print that variable X again outside my block. So when I run the code, when I am compiling it, oh my god, compiler is angry. Compiler is not happy with this. He says cannot find the symbol X. Although you know X is present there in the code, but it is inside curly braces, which is forming a block of code. And here in this system.out.println, we are trying to print a variable X which is outside the scope of this region, so it's not working. So if we make this print line silent or put a comment before it, so I'm now running it again, compiling it again, execute it again, and let's see is the error there again or not. No, now error is not there. We have answer 90 printed out. Okay guys, now I believe you understand the scope concept in Java. Further, we have some more information about this. Let's read this line here. A block of code may exist on its own, right? Or as we have defined in above example here, one block of code, it's on its own. It's not part of any statement, if statement, while, or any other thing. It's just a block of code defined by us. We just put curly braces around the code and it becomes a block. So it can belong to, a block of code may exist on its own, or it can belong to an if statement, a while statement, or for statement. In the case of for statements, variables declared in the statement itself are also available inside the block scope. Okay, so I hope you understand this concept of scope and how variables are accessible in the region where they are defined. So I hope this video is informative for you. You have learned something new, and please share with your friends, colleagues, or whoever around you who's learning Java programming language. So I will be back with another video very soon. Take care. Bye.